is a 2003 BMW R850R, and Buddy said he was driving it down the highway from Auckland and it just died on him on the highway. He had a buddy of his go through it a bit and they checked some wires and stuff. Couldn't find the problem, doesn't start. Brought it into the garage here, checked a few fuses, checked the fuse for the the electronic ignition system. It all seemed to be working, and so I used some of this carb cleaner degreaser here, sprayed it in the throat, and it fires off no problem, runs on that, but it won't run off the tank. So I pulled it apart and I found the problem, apart from me spilling gas all over my floor. The problem is, first off, German engineers don't know how to make anything to service. So everything is very difficult. The second problem is that they've tried to fit far too much stuff in this tiny little hole. And the third problem was, the pump was a bit noisy when I was testing on it before, so I've ordered a new pump. I'm going to replace it anyways, but for the sake of making sure that everything else is good on the bike. When I've opened this up, the line right here was not attached to the pump, and that is critical for the pump to operate properly, because this is the output of the pump through the filter and then off to the ignition system. So the reason why I was getting a little bit of spray from the injectors was it was kind of sitting like right here. So the pump would be spraying and it would probably push enough fluid through, but the spray was really weak. So I've put this hose back onto the pump here. I'm gonna stick it all back together, put it on the bike, get it running. When the pump comes from overseas, I'm gonna swap that out anyhow, because this one is getting a bit noisy, and I'll put a new fuel filter in it, but I just want to put this all back together to make sure that everything else on the bike is good. And then the last thing I've got to do is fix this guy. When they were trailering it from where it broke down the highway, they broke this. So I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that, because right now it looks like a guy walking around with a dislocated shoulder. Apart from that, there's far too many things going on this bike, and I'm glad that I was able to source this issue here. And yeah, let's see if we can get this back together here without swearing too much. I was having a problem getting this seal to go on here very well, and it wasn't sealing, as you can see by the fuel that my wife is going to be super happy about. Like I said, German engineers and their ideas of how to make things is a little bit different than I'm used to. And this bike is not nearly rusty enough for my liking. So that's got to be there. I should really put some goo on that, which I don't have, so we're going to try and snug her down without. The goo's in the other shop. RTV or some kind of similar gasket stuff. It's just a little bit tight. It's like it's too much happening, and it's got to be in the right direction so that it picks up the fuel. Like these guys got it coming down that way. See, and then this seal falls off of there. It's just like, seriously. And of course I'm doing it with almost a full tank, as you can see. So I've kind of got it perched on my jandals here, so it doesn't, and it's on this foam so it doesn't damage the paint. Some people care about that. I'm gonna have to glue that on there. as you can see by my wardrobe change, I did not have any goo, so I had to go to the store today and get goo. So I got this JB Weld Red High Temp RTV 100% silicone. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, putting goo on an O-ring is not what you normally do. So feel free to call me out on that. The reason why I'm doing that is I have to order a new O-ring from BMW because it's not a standard thing. So once I get a new O-ring, I'll clean up the RTV off of it, but it's a bit ridiculous. Like, I tell you, it's like, it should just come out. It doesn't need to, I don't understand, like, there we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. Almost. Now I got a rag here to wipe that. To wipe it. This is going to be a bit of a thing to get this in there, and it's not really ideal. Like, it's just, everything is just a bit stupid. You can see, if you zoom in here, you can see the O-ring, which is initially, it's cracked. See? And it's really like kind of hardish and flat here. So there's definitely, it's not great. So we're just gonna use some goo and we're just gonna make it seal. I'm gonna stick that in there. So let's do that. While I'm getting this goo ready, feel free to subscribe to my channel. There's more videos coming. We've got that Nissan Murano there that we've been working on, and it's getting a new AC condenser, waiting for the parts to come in. So we'll do a little thing on that. We'll get this bike back together, and I've also got all of my bikes that I shipped over from Canada will be coming, so there'll be lots of videos there happening as we put them together and get them on the road and all that. There it comes. Okay, let's try not to make a complete mess. Just a little mess. So what you're meant to do is like let it set up before you tighten it down. That's what it says on the bottle. We're probably not going to do that because I'm impatient. Well, the hard part's going to get all of this crap back in here without messing up my other layer of goo. It's like I'm building a new gasket. It's magical. Now we can move that. This stuff's great for everything. A lot of engines now don't even come with gaskets in a lot of spots. They just RTV it. Okay. Come on. Slide in there. Just go in there. Don't make a big mess. Don't need to make a big mess. Like that. Almost. It's got to adjust all of its inner workings there. Around those return hoses. There we go. Now put these back on and we'll I'm gonna let it set up before I test it, because if I test it and it's still too soft, the fuel will come out and push the RTV out of the way, and we don't want that. All my tools are coming. They were shipped from Canada, so I'm using the bare minimum here. Tools. Put lots of nice long thread on here, so there's lots of cranking on each one. The great thing is it's a beautiful evening and there's no mosquitoes, because we don't really have those here, which is great. Check out my Instagram feed on Rusty Bob's 204 and see some of our projects that we had kind of going underway. let that set up and we'll check on it later. So as you can see, it's dark now, but it's not leaking anymore out of here. It's leaking a little bit out of these vent holes, but pipes, but it was all just pouring out of here before. So now we're gonna throw it on the bike and hook it up, and we'll see if we can get this thing motoring here. This is a lot easier to do, by the way, when there's no fuel in the tank. Now, we gotta find all of our stuff. Plug in. Hoses are here. It's like working on a new car. It's just like ridiculous. Everything just fights you at every corner. Those come down here. These guys. Popped off here. Let's go forward into there. I've got my pump one notch out. How it's clocked on those screws. I need to go one notch further. It's just not, there's not enough. There's just not enough. There's not enough. See? Might be. Maybe. Maybe if this goes down to where it's supposed to be. Maybe. That goes in there. All sorts of stuff that has to happen all together. I don't even know how they put these things together. Like, how do they make money with how ridiculous these things are? There's an in and an out, but the hoses are male and female, so you can only hook them up one way. If they were just like a little bit longer. It's just not happening. We'll have to clock that thing and then we'll catch back up once I've got it together and we'll fire it up. Okay, so I clocked the fuel pump assembly one more notch over, and as it turns out, somebody had drawn a marker line on there, which because it's dark, I couldn't see. And that all come together right here, nice and easy. So the power is right here. Well, that's really dark. And right on here, these quick connects just snip together. And then these are just the overflow lines. It's just setting on here right now, the tank. I've got to go and put all these are oil coolers. I got to mount them all back up. But let's see if she fires up, because it would crank for days and nothing, unless I sprayed goo in there, or carby cleaner. You can hear the pump. Runs. Oh, didn't like that. I wonder if the hose might have popped off again, because when I did it before, it goes. Cranking on it quite a bit, throwing all kinds of stuff in there, so yeah, that's all it wanted. A little bit of choke. Get it warmed up. Still a bit cold, but it runs. So it runs good. It still run. It's still a bit cold, so it's still on choke. When the new pump gets here, we'll throw that in there. New O-ring, clean that all up, put it back together, fix the dew funny in the back, and then we're good to go. And don't forget to subscribe and push the notification bell, because that does something, and like the video, and check the Instagram page, RustyBobs204.